Hey, you want to see this stuff or not?
Welcome back, everyone. It's Evan Husa57 here. We are back in the Division Beta on the last day that it's active, and today I will be making a relatively short but very important video on the good, the bad, the dark, and what above all must be fixed before the full game launches. So hopefully you bear with me and you watch this video from start to finish. I will try and post it up on the beta forums as well because there's a lot to cover here. So we'll start off with the good aspects of this game. For a beta, it was actually a very good game, surprisingly good on the graphics, everything, weapon functionality, things like that are very, very well done for the most part. And I like the game a lot. I feel like it has very good potential though. However, there are a few things that do need to be changed, some of which are minor personal preference, some almost game breaking. Now, we're going to start off in the Dark Zone, which there's, well, let's just put it this way, but unfortunately, the best gear that you can get, you have to buy from Dark Zone vendors, which you get separate Dark Zone funds. Now, whenever you die, you drop a exorbitant portion of those Dark Zone funds on the ground, whether you are killed by another player or killed by an AI. So, unfortunately, that makes it very hard to save up to get the premium weapons, and I don't really agree with that. I would say that once you extract and you leave the Dark Zone, any Dark Zone funds that you have on your person should become permanently yours and not subject to you losing a percentage of those funds. Same goes for your Dark Zone keys. If you have more than one Dark Zone key, I can understand dropping one key. But if you only have one key or two keys or something like that, you should definitely not drop those when you die, especially if you're not rogue when you're killed. Now, another thing, now this is a really nice thing, is this dynamic weather system, especially when you get these snowstorms here. You literally can't see 2 feet in front of your face, which is kind of cool, and I haven't seen another game that does this. So I do really have high hopes for what this game could do. Now, before we get into any combat, one of the biggest things for me in this game is bullet penetration. So glass, of course, you can shoot through. Doesn't seem to reduce bullet penetration at all. Even shooting through multiple car windshields, you'll shoot through the windshield, the back windshield, the next windshield of the next car, and if the bullets line up, they basically keep going almost indefinitely. However, a thin metal sign, like this one right there, I can't shoot through. I should be able to shoot through that. I'm using a .45 caliber 1911 pistol. Switching to the Liberator, which is an assault rifle, should be firing a 5.56 caliber cartridge, and I cannot shoot through that. Bullet penetration in this game is completely broken as hell. You either need to remove it entirely, or at least make there to be a more realistic degree of bullet penetration. Now, that's just a minor technical issue, you know, that a personal preference. Some people like it, some people don't. I'm one of those people that doesn't. But two of the biggest issues that I've noticed with this game, I can't stand that the absolute best gear in the game, the only way for you to get, you have got to go into the Dark Zone. You should be able to get that gear also through other means that do not put you at risk for PvP. Not all of us have teams to play with, and most of the time end up playing solo. So the bad thing with this game is if you are playing solo, there's not a lot that you can do, especially in the Dark Zone. There's these little caches that you can open. They usually don't carry really good stuff, but sometimes they do, so they are worth checking. But they're very far and few between. The NPCs are also very far and few between, and the ones that you do find are extremely hard to kill by yourself. Killable, yes, but extremely hard to. There needs to be more NPCs. that you can actually find just roaming the streets. I mean, this is described as being a war zone. There should be all kinds of low-level NPCs, mid-level NPCs, boss NPCs, all kinds of enemies for you to fight. Just ones randomly walking the streets, other ones that, you know, have specific locations that they spawn at, maybe bases for you to raid, things like that. Unfortunately, there's not, which basically in the beta leaves you running around. And that brings me to my second thing. They reduced the run speed, which for a map this size, it really takes you forever to cover any distance. I believe that they need to increase your run speed or at least alter weapon stats for run speed. So for instance, rifles and shotguns would be at the same run speed they are now. SMGs would give you a slightly faster run speed, and if you were to switch to your pistol, that would give you the best run speed of any weapon, but you would be sacrificing a little bit of damage output for the ability to run faster. That would at least make it so that you could cover more distance on the map and make it a more playable game. The other thing that I've noticed is extraction. Extraction takes a very long time to get here, and you have to defend against NPCs in order to actually extract. Now these NPCs only have a purple health bar, so they're not too hard to kill by yourself, but it can be difficult if they overwhelm you. Now with this helicopter, you can only attach 4 loot bags to it. So basically only 4 players can extract their loot, and their loot can only be in the dark zone up to 6 items. Now this is where I believe that there needs to be some fine-tuning with that. First of all, that helicopter should be able to carry a lot more than 6, or actually only 4 pouches. At the very least, I would say it should be able to carry 6 to 8, because if you're playing on an open server with a lot of people, you're just going to have to sit there and call in extraction after extraction to try and get your stuff out, which is completely ridiculous. The other thing, I believe, as you level up and use better gear, which as you can see I do have 1 gold weapon, the rest are blues, and I have 1 purple, but I have a blue bag. I do believe that the bags, while they should also increase your backpack capacity, I believe eventually they should increase your dark zone or contaminated capacity as well, upping it from default of 6 items to 8. Possibly even if you were to get in the full game like a purple pack or a gold tier pack, upping it to maybe 10 or even 12 items. With that, that brings me to my next point about the bags. The bags should not only increase your backpack space, but they should also then allow you to carry more grenades, to carry more medkits, to carry more items like food and water that you may run into and pick up throughout the game. It seems a little ridiculous I can only carry 3 medkits, a little ridiculous that I can only carry 3 frag grenades, especially with an upgraded pack. Now who knows if they'll change this in full game, I certainly hope they do. One more final thing before I get into the really hard things. Now we're up against some yellow health bar elite NPCs, and I may actually not even be able to really take these guys down simply because I am playing by myself. And when you are playing by yourself, the enemy are actually quite brutal. But that's what I wanted to show you there, that flame grenade. The flame grenades, or any burning effect for that matter, is ridiculously overpowered. It lights you on fire, and the only thing that you can do is basically stand there and take it. There's literally nothing that you can do. You can shoot, but you can't heal yourself. You can't use a med kit. It's pretty much insane. That fire effect needs to be greatly reduced, or you need to be given a way to actually combat that flaming effect. With that, and the addition of more NPCs for you to fight, as well as NPCs that are easier to kill than, say, these gold boss, basically, or elite NPCs, whatever you want to call them. As you can see, they're very hard to take on. A couple hits from them, even with good gear, they can bring down a very large chunk of your health bar. And yes, it is a cover-based RPG game, but there needs to be more that you can do by yourself without a team. So we're just going to retreat from those guys. It's not worth spending 20 minutes engaging on them. And talk about the last aspect of this game that's very disappointing. And that is the rogue player system. Basically, this area, the Dark Zone, is a PvP zone. And technically, you can kill and fight other players. Now, because there really is no limit with other players on their gear, a lot of times other players will have better gear than you. If they have better gear than you, there's not a lot that you can do against it. And there really needs to be something changed as far as, like, server-wise, what servers have, like, a gear rating. Otherwise, it can be very, very difficult. And there's those darn little yellow NPCs again. They are still trying to kill me, and they will make a habit of doing so. But anyways, with the rogue system, and the cover system is a bit glitchy. There I go, lit on fire again. Even though I was almost out of that blast, I still got caught by it and lit on fire. But anyways, once they change all that and they change the rogue system, add some more NPCs, the game could be really, really fun. Now, sometimes players are nice. Like, here's another random player, and he decided that he was going to come and basically he's pretty much NPC hunting with me. The thing of it is he could turn on me at any time, and then I would be kind of screwed because basically he can kill me. Now, he would go rogue, or for instance, I could go rogue. Now, the bad thing about that is there's a lot of accidental rogue in this game. For instance, he's running back towards me, and if he accidentally dodged, or dodged on purpose, because that does happen quite a bit too, players will dodge on purpose into your fire just to get you marked as rogue so they can kill you without absolutely any side effects or being marked rogue themselves. That's a system that I believe needs to change on exactly how much damage you have to do to another player in order to get marked as rogue. The other aspect of that is, right now I'm playing with Eclipse. If I were to shoot this player and get marked as rogue myself, it would also mark Eclipse as rogue. Now, he's not right next to me, so he might be far enough away that he might not get marked as rogue, but it's very possible for him to get marked as rogue. Now, because of that, that's kind of game breaking. You could literally be sitting there not doing anything, not harming any players, and just get marked as rogue because one of your teammates shoots an enemy or shoots a friendly player or basically non-rogue player. So there does need to be some modifiers on that, as well as some modifiers on NPCs, and just a lot of balancing done mainly to the Dark Zone area. If that was done, I do believe this game could be extremely fun, and it could be a really good game. There's just a few things that they need to change on it and balance, adding more NPCs, balancing the weapon damage, because right now enemies are just such bullet sponges. It's completely ridiculous, the amount of damage that it takes to bring down an enemy. Now here we have that bullet penetration through glass, but not through the bottom metal. So again, bullet penetration, rogue system, adding more enemies, even if they're low-level enemies, just for the something for you to kill and earn Dark Zone currency. Working on the whole rogue system, making it so that if, you know, one member of your team shoots a player and is turned rogue, it doesn't turn your entire team rogue unless, say, they kill that player. You know, that would be one way to fix the whole turning rogue issue. Also, some people abuse the fact of having a player that is not rogue next to them while they're rogue, and anybody who throws like grenades or anything like that up at those players, well, then when those grenades go off, they're marked as rogue as well. So there's a lot that needs to be balanced and changed with this game. I also believe an out-of-combat health regeneration system to regenerate above the current block of health that you have would be a very good feature to have in the full game, because you can literally be running around, especially in the dark zone, for such a long period of time without seeing anyone, that to be forced to have to use a med kit, which are in very limited supply because you can only carry 3 of them, is a bit of a very big disappointment. So those few things changed. Weapon damage, I believe, needs to be increased. Regardless of the level of the weapon, weapon lethality should be greatly increased. The dark zone should be heavily saturated with crates and NPCs, things for you to loot, things for you to kill. It should literally be a war zone, like they say. And then you should not drop as much dark zone currency when you die, especially if you are not a rogue player. If you are just killed by an NPC or something like that, you really should not be forced to drop your currency that is such hard-earned currency in order to progress in the game. Hopefully they change these things between now and the full game launch. Hopefully you go ahead and smash the like button, subscribe, and go ahead and share this video so that as many people as possible can see it, and hopefully they do make many of these changes to the game in order to make it a very fun game to play. Have fun, and as always, keep your powder dry.